We're going to move on to Zethimus's question.
Who?
Zethimus.
Zethimus. Got it.
He says, is there a strong reason for an emergency fund beyond 1 to 2 months of expenses if I have a reasonable amount in an after-tax brokerage?
You know what, man.
Yep, bro.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I want to tell you how much we appreciate all the new, because we know that 40 to 50% of people who are watching our content are brand new, and you haven't heard me go on an access to cash rant.
Go do it. I'm here for it.
So there's two mistakes that financial mutants make with their emergency reserves, and the fact that, y'all have heard me say it, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, or the way I looked this up, because that's the way I always heard it said. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. That's actually the technical way that it's supposed to be said, but that doesn't sound Southern. It doesn't sound like
I didn't know there was a technical way for that.
That's not right.
But here's the problem. There are two traps that people fall into, and I see this all over social media. Is they're like, hey, I have a brokerage account, and I'm loading up on some VU. So I've got that S&P just rocking and rolling, and I love how much it's been making me. So I don't need access. I don't need to have cash because I have this great taxable portfolio. I could just, if I needed money, I'll sell it and get access to that. So that's trap one. The other one is we just had this run up in houses. If you were fortunate enough that you owned a house, pre-pandemic, you've probably made great returns on your house. So you're sitting on 50, 60, 70% equity in these houses. And then banks love saying, hey, we'll give you these home equity lines. We'll strap you on with a checkbook. We'll even give you a debit card. You can make use of this thing. It's going to be great for you. So you're like, they have two easy access, ways to get cash if I had an emergency. I fell into this trap because I'm a financial mutant. I want to maximize every opportunity for my army of dollar bills. And then the Great Recession happened. And this is what everybody needs to understand, is that when bad things happen, when it rains, it actually pours. Is that you will see not only when things get ugly outside, you'll see the stock market lose 30 to 50% of its value. It happens. And it doesn't mean you've lost that money. If you sell is how you lose that money, but you want to make sure that you have enough money going through that you don't make bad decisions at those desperate moments. The other thing you'll see is that housing markets will get crushed too. It's because a lot of people will get laid off, so you'll see people be unemployed. You'll see the housing market soften up, and you'll see the financial markets get beat up. All these things will happen all at the same time, and then everybody who's sitting on cash, true liquid cash, it is the deal of an opportunity, of a lifetime. That's what I always say, is actually having cash when everybody else is in crisis mode is actually an incredible wealth builder. And I just don't want people to fall into the trap of thinking they'll have access to cash instead of actually having cash, because as somebody who's been there, done that, don't fall into that trap, because it is a dark, dark moment when you realize all of your assumptions have broken, and now you've put your financial life, your disciplined life, where you're so proud of yourself because you built up this money and it's all working for you. And you're like, how could I have been so dumb? How could I have been so prideful that I thought I was so smart that I was going to make it through this access to cash trap? Don't fall into that. So that's why I would say, actually have a full emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. Look at your life, see what you need, and don't try to play this access to cash trap that catches so many financial mutants. It breaks my heart.
The only thing I'm going to throw on there at the end is that, let's say that you're in this position and one of those things happens, a 2008, a Great Recession happens, and all of a sudden you find that you lose your job. There's a reduction in force, no fault of your own. It's just what happens because of the economy. If you know that you've only got 1 to 2 months of expenses covered, when you start looking for that next job, you're not going to be in the headspace to where you're thinking, okay, I need to find a great job that's going to set me up for the future, and I know that I've got some time covered. If you only have 1 month, that hourglass has been turned over, and that time is just ticking away. If instead you follow our rule and you know that you have 3 to 6 months, that you know, okay, no matter what happens, I've got the mortgage covered, I've got the utilities covered, I've got the cash, I've got the groceries covered, before I have to dip into any of my other assets, it's just going to allow you to make more well-reasoned, more well-thought-out decisions in a time when you need to stay level-headed. The thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're having to make significant life-changing decisions like, oh no, I just lost my job, I got to figure out the next thing, you don't want to rush that decision and end up in a worse spot than you were before because you did not plan accordingly. So giving yourself that not just 1 to 2 months, but 3 to 6 months is going to give you time to be able to navigate however challenging that labor market might be.
Avoid desperate decision mistakes. If you have cash, you have options, and you won't fall into those desperate traps.